Perfect. So, one, thank you to Adrienne and Darlise for having me today and the entire Cray Hair Fest. I am definitely feeling the spirit of 75 Hair because we are already 1 month in. And when I say the resilience is real, it is real. But 1 month down, 11 more to go. So I'm really excited for this challenge. I'm excited to be back for a second year, not only as a workshop facilitator, mentor. Today's workshop I get to talk about is simple workflows of how to take your Blender experiences and bring it to the web to create a fully immersive web experience. So we do have a poll that we want to ask just to get a feel in a room of just really understanding experiences out there. So thank you. So the question here that we have is which of these best describes your current XR experience? Have you never touched XR? Have you played with XR? Have you been an XS? So you're probably just wondering at this point, like, what the heck is XR? Let's get a voting going and to see where we are.
And you can check out the poll that we're referring to if you click the waffle, which is the 3x3 dots in the bottom right corner of your screen. And then you'll be able to click on the poll and then answer that question. So we're getting a lot of people who have some experience. They've played with XR through their games. They've done demos. They might have a headset. We have some people who have been built 3D assets before, but they may not have built an XR application. We have very few people who have never touched XR before, which is awesome. We even have someone who has built an XR app before. Well, for those of us who have never touched XR, you won't be able to say that again after this workshop.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. This looks really good. So we've got a pretty good balance between people who have actually interacted with XR before with mixed reality through games, demos, and headsets, as well as some people who have been built, 3D assets before, but they haven't built an XR application yet. So this is a really, really good group we have today.
Okay, this is great because I should ask the other questions of like those who are experienced with development or not. Myself in general, I consider myself more of a designer, an experienced designer and a technical artist where I have absolutely no background in development whatsoever. And in the age of Gen AI, that is a great thing because with AI, you can start to develop all these cool experiences that you see on the web here. And so that's what we're going to dive into today of like understanding like what is XR and what you can do with that. And so when you think about XR, you want to think of it in terms of like how do we extend beyond our current reality of what we see. You might see some examples like Pokemon Go, where you're going out to collect collectibles there, or you might be fully immersed in a VR game like Batman, where you're like flying all over the world. In fact, I tell a lot of people that in VR is the only space where humans, AIs, and robots can coexist because you're extending what's beyond reality in that space there. And you'll probably see things anywhere from like simulations, like training, playing games, or doing real world scenarios like showcases, seeing cars, all types of configurations. I'm a big of a show and tell person, so I like to go out in the real world and bring out real cool examples. So one of my favorite examples I like to think about is you have Snapchat. So most of the things I like to do, I like to go to Instagram and see what really cool things people are working here. So there's this one platform called XR Bazaar that shows you all the cool things you can make in AR experiences here with real creators like yourself, from having smart glasses all the way into virtual reality of all the things you can see. So like you see here in this image, this is what we call AR, where you have more of an overlay effect that you can play with. It doesn't interact with your environment per se, but you can play games in that aspect. Or you can also have things with fashion. Let's say that you have different type of designer clothes and you want to put a QR code on it when someone scan your phone. They can see all types of effects pulled up. So this is some of the cool things that you can create when leveraging augmented reality, mixed reality, and VR in this space. I myself, I go by Bossleo.io in the real world, and I start a lot in Meta Horizon world where I will build experiences and games in a form of virtual reality. So going back to Instagram here, one of the coolest examples I like to show that I built on a platform is like using the Meta Horizon desktop editor to create all these cool scenes that you have in this space here for players to play. You can do games in here. You can create your own podcast, or you can just create like a nice hangout chill spot that you see here. So here's one of my few examples. This was a nice interactive scene for an upcoming conference that happened. Well, conference is happening in 2024. You have like a nice futuristic city that I built here for players to interact with. So you can build a lot of these cool things in play. All of these amazing experiences that you see within the XR space is known as UGC social gaming. Is where creatives, professionals, even non-players come together to hang out on these amazing platforms where they can build nice creations for people to come hang into. So all of this is all within the XR environment. So we're going next here. So when you think about XR and where it's going, one, who do you think invented the metaverse? Let's see that in the chat. Like, who do you think invented the metaverse or the creator of the metaverse? Any wild guesses? You can't steal my punchline, Adrienne. That's mine.
Didn't know.
What's my punchline? I think you spelled it.
No, no, it wasn't Facebook.
It wasn't. That was probably my kicker punchline there. So a lot of people think that Meta invented the metaverse, which they didn't. Exactly. They claimed that they did, but they did not. So I really say that a lot because I know at the beginning of the year and even last year, you hear a lot about, is this the end of the metaverse? Is this dying? Because one, I would consider Meta a big hyperscaler within the industry. He has invested a lot in the space, but Meta does not own metaverse. In fact, when you think of the metaverse, it's really created by the game developer themselves, as long as you create an experience and have a community as a part of that. And so the actual person who really, there really isn't no one who did it, but you have someone by the name of Neil Stephenson who coined the term metaverse in 1992 as a way to envision virtual worlds with avatars that you interact with it. But when you think about just games like GTA 6 that has yet to still come out, you have other games like Sims, even just Roblox in general. Like all of these are all their own universes that's created by developers. So if you can create a universe which the key component of all of this is community, you have yourself a metaverse there. And even like Halo, you have your own self a metaverse there too. So I wanted to debunk that and say no, even though that it has went mainstream because of the help of Meta, it was not invented by Meta. But which means that this industry in general is very big. And going back to the different things you can do in this space, you can create the ARs, you can create VRs, and you can create mixed reality MR experiences. But this industry is itself is whole, and because of that, it's fragmented. So this is where I get to breaking down so you can understand what I mean about metaverses, ecosystems, and why it's fragmented. As you think about in today's world, like Web 2 world, right? You have social media on one hand, and you have mobile apps. And typically for mobile apps, you really have two lanes. Either you're building for Apple or you're building for Android. We know Apple is very closed niche environment where you can only develop for Apple devices, from their headset to their phones, website. Like you have to use their language. Everything is Apple. Yeah, I know we got some haters in there. Oh, sorry, we support everybody in this space here. But then you have Android. You have Android where you can pretty much do almost anything. You have more creativity. And I will admit they're also more innovative in that aspect in an area too. And so now when you think about us going into Web 3, you essentially see like, do we have an Android versus an Apple? In this case, I would call Meta the Apple of XR because they have a closed environment. But it doesn't stop there with Meta. Now you're seeing that you have companies like is who's that for? Is it Google over Android? They just call it Android XR. You have Android XR. They've come out with their headset, their smart glasses. Of course, you have Meta Quest and their glasses. You have Apple Vision Pro. They're rumored to be coming out with smart glasses. You have HTC Vive, and very recently, you have Steam. Steam is coming out with their own console here. So a lot of these platforms are coming out with their consoles, their headsets, and smart glasses. But just like how it is in Web 2, imagine what it's like for a creator when you have to build one single experience for all of these different platforms that are closed. It's not good when you're developing a game or world for, let's say, Meta, but you cannot optimize it for Android or for HTC Vivers, right? When they have their platform. So you have so many platforms out there that you're developing for. To give you a perspective, think about social media. You have LinkedIn, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Threads. And if you're not already burnt out by trying to conquer every platform, as a creative, imagine how burnt out you are when you're creating games and experiences for multiple platforms. And that's where we are at right now in this industry. When we call it fragmented, there isn't one unified platform other than what you're probably familiar with, Unity and Unreal Engine, where you can just build one time and go to multiple platforms here. So this is a mindset you have to think about when, if I want to create an experience, what tech stack do I use? What platform do I use? Where do I go? What's more open in that space? And that's no bueno for all of us here. So how do we create an experience that's suitable for all of us? That is where the web comes in, right? Where it connects everything. And with the web, everything is device agnostic. So this is really good for my UX designers out there, my web designers out there, those that feel like AI is taking your jobs. No, your job just got elevated now, because this is a perfect time for you to be in if you're a web designer in this space. Because with the internet, it can access any device that you're on, whether you're on an iPhone, an Android, whether you're on an Apple Vision Pro, they all can access the internet. And that's what we want to build for. It doesn't mean that you don't have to limit yourself to only building for, like, say, Apple Vision Pro, but how do you access that consumer base there? That is where we blend both WebXR web and XR together. Now, a lot of people might be wanting to understand, like, what exactly is WebXR? What do that look like here? How can you access it? And the most simplest way to explain WebXR, I like to call it that is a simple device technology that recognizes whether or not that your website has built-in XR capabilities. It can detect whether I'm on my PC. It can detect whether my website has AR capabilities or if this is an environment built exclusively for VR without me having to build a sole application for that environment. So essentially, I am taking a website and I am adding functionality for XR. And with this technology, with the web, it recognizes that for you, so you don't have to do anything very particular with it. That is what XR for. So keep that in mind there. You don't have to download it. You can access it across all platforms, and it's already using tools that you're already used to use it for. So what do some examples look like for a WebXR? I have some platforms that I love to play with. One is called Play Canvas, which is a perfect beginner friendly tool that really show you all the cool things that you can do here between games, AR, VR, and even configurators, which you'll start to learn what that entails. So let's go into, let's see here, a VR experience. Let's see if I can find a really good one that I like. Let's do AR. This is perfect. So here's a perfect AR experience built for the web. And that's the cool thing about it. Like once you create your experience, you have a URL link that you can put into any browser and it will automatically detect it in place. So here's something simple as a Nissan game here that you can play with, and it's fully immersive here as a 3D visualizer. Now that's going to be what I was looking for. Eighth wall is a good image here. So take it down.
And for additional context too, especially referencing Eighth Wall, they were a really great platform, and they made a lot of progress on making developer tools and access for XR and VR development accessible. But just a keynote to you guys to know, they are decommissioning their platform. But there are so many other, resources and tools that are out there other than them. We do have some workshops. I did a workshop on them last year. And yeah, I like their studio a lot. So it was kind of a big blow to a lot of like builders in the XR space. I don't know what your thoughts are, Marlaina, on like the fact that they decided to do that, and especially even how like Meta is like dumping a bit on like XR and like AR and VR builders. Kind of don't know what's going on with these guys.
I know it seems like everything keeps taken away. Every player can keep up. Even workrooms, my favorite VR tool, has been decommissioned. So a lot of things are being decommissioned. But this is why I say we be resilient, and this is a good mindset to have when you're building for the web, right? Because well, I'll put it like this: when you think in terms of where the industry is at and where it's going, US is still behind when it comes to technology and it's slow to adapt. And right now the big buzz is AI, right? And that's where a lot of efforts are going. And so XR is still a big umbrella. It just means that you have to have different platform experiences to pretty much optimize for that, right? And so even though Eighth Wall is an amazing platform that I'm very sad to hear that's going away, that's why you have newer tools that come up and just simply create an experience for the web or just using Unity with built-in AR capabilities. You can still build for that. So that's unfortunate, other things that's happening here, but you have more and more platforms getting made today, and that's why I like to show the different options that we have here too. And in fact, what I am not sharing today, but definitely in the future, when we think about in terms of platforms that's more for AR, you really have Snapchat and their Snap Spectacles. That's probably the most advanced platform that I've seen to date that is thriving, that has a community, and allow creators to build augmented and mixed reality experiences. And it's also accessible and affordable for everyone as well. So that's my few takes on that too. So I pulled up yet another platform. This is why I say we want to find platforms that are essential for you. For example, so I can show you one that's Needle. That is a platform that I'm starting to really love a lot here, and it has some of the best samples and codes that you can think through. So as you're getting ready to build your first WebXR experience, or you think about what project that you want to create, here's like a few examples of what that can look for here. Trying to see if I can find it, the resource tab here. Let me just type it in directly. Maybe we can pull it up. Engine needle tools samples. Perfect. So this is one of my favorite websites I like to go to when I'm looking for really cool examples of what I can do for both AR mixed reality. Play Canvas is definitely one of my favorite ones, and they have those repositories, but for the sake of time, we want to find something that's working here. So some few examples of a WebXR experience. One that you probably see very popular lately are scrollable experiences or 3D objects that you can interact with. So you see if I'm moving my mouse, I can like interact with a lot of the objects. I can also scroll down and you see that the colors are changing as I'm scrolling. This is what I consider very interactive, is moving a cursor and a user in engage in this space. One of my other favorite platforms that I like, let me see if I can find one more good example of another one. You have a WebXR experience where you can do face filters. This is pretty common when you think of the term, oh, I'm on the camera. So this is another cool experience that if I have a camera baked in, I can have a filter. See, I'm not necessarily on the phone, but it has the capability as well as powered by a platform, what I can do. And you can download the code directly and to interact with it as well. And one of my personal favorites where you're starting to see a lot of use cases for WebXR is something known as a configurator. This is where you get to see your entire scene that you create and you can interact with it. These are also pretty popular. Now, you can also tell that this is a WebXR experience because at the bottom of any application that you create, it will tell you that, hey, this website has AR built-in capabilities. Or you can also enter this experience in VR. And so I can click either one of these and I can enter in that, ideally on my device. So I can put in the same link, which I'll put here in the chat for you all to experience with this, that I can put this in the same link and pull it up on my phone or on my headset, and the experience would pretty much be the same. So that is essentially what WebXR is completely doing for you there, and how you're doing that. And then you have more examples there. Let's go back to my presentation. And so what I want to say, what it is not, or what the difference here is that you want to think about when you're making a website, what's interactive versus immersive. When you're building a WebXR experience, this is something that you feel that you're a part of that environment, like you're embedded in that space. Whereas, oh, you have just a 3D asset or a model. Let's say, like, you might have a plushie toy, or you might have a rotating cube, but you can interact with it with your cursor. That makes it interactive, but it's not immersive. I'm going to show you an example of an interactive website. This is also one of my favorites that I've shared a lot of how fully cool that is. You have like a full scene here with my mouse. It can move around with it. Yeah, break out the parts here. And I can do a scroll effect where it also points out some information. Pretty cool, fully immersive. And then with the 3D objects here, completely interactive in how you make with it too. So I'm blending a bit of my 3D objects and I'm creating an entire scene here. Well, actually, let me take it back. It's not necessarily immersive because it doesn't have AR and VR capabilities, but it is fully interactive when I can interact with it. And I started the music here. So this is a good example of a website that's interactive, but not necessarily immersive, as if I were playing Elysian, which is a WebXR website, a fully immersive website where it recognizes that I'm on the web, a game, and you can see it's optimized for both VR, my mobile phone, or my PC. So if I were to also give you this link here and put it into the chat, you can access the same exact game on either device that you're on and play with it completely, as you see here. So now we got some ideas of what we can truly do in this space and what makes things interactive, from playing a game to creating my own scene environment with 3D objects in Blender and bring it to the web to be fully immersive in this space here. Okay, so now you think about, like, this is cool. So this is what we came here for. Like, how do I really start to build, right? How do I start to build an experience in WebXR, especially for the 75-hour challenge, right? Like, I want to build something, call my own, and go really completely crazy with it, right? And so what I talk about here is a few things. One is identifying the core building blocks that makes up a WebXR experience, from your actual scenes itself, how you make them interactive, and some UX considerations when you're building for an experience. Some simple workflows. There's a workflow that works from everyone, from if you're a complete beginner where you just want to either build objects, generate objects, and just export it immediately for, like, say, your website with Squarespace, Webflow, or any other tool you can. Or maybe you like a hardcore developer, you want all control over your experiences, you want to make some cool physics. There's a space for everyone for that there. But my goal is to simplify it to where it's easy just to get started just for you. And then a little bit of more of like the concept design thinking of, like, how do you go from an idea and how do you build an immersive experience around that? And of course, tools and resources. Everyone that registered for this workshop, we will be like sending any recaps and additional information that you need to access that, so that you can really start getting your feet wet in these spaces as well. So when you think about what makes up a WebXR experience and what's the core framework to follow, right? It's as simple, as easy as I just build a 3D model in Blender and I export it into what I call GLB file, which I will show you just a moment. And I just optimize it for the web, right? The core thing you want to think about is, where do you take your 3D model? How do you add interaction to it and deploy it to where you need to go? One of the things that you want to think about when you're building a website is optimization, right? You don't want to build a website where a person can barely get to the just to the half of the page because there's so much loading on their screen that they just can't interact with the website. And you want it to be completely accessible. And so you have to think about what aspects of my website do I want to make it interactive but be fully immersive? And then think about the core user flow that I want a user to go through when they're seeing my site. So these are the things that you think about when you wanted to create your website here. So the fun part, let's see, I don't know if I asked the question, but have anyone ever did 3D modeling before?
Let's get some thumbs up. I see some thumbs up. Okay, I see a couple. 2,
Okay.
3, 4,
Are
5.
we Blender people? Are we a Maya people?
Shout out your favorite platform in the chat. I would say I have the most experience with Blender. But there's actually another tool that Canva just let out. What is it called? I was kind of playing around with it too.
Oh, I know. I think I know what you're talking
I know
about.
you just, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I can't think of the name right now. I'll drop it in the chat later. But Canva let out their own tool. It has to live locally on your system.
Okay.
Unity, I see Blender. Okay, Unity Developer Affinity. Yes, that's the name.
Affinity. I
The
think
name.
I heard about that.
Nomad Scope. I do like Nomad Scope. I use it on my iPad. Do we have any Gravity Sketch girlies here? Like, can we get OG real quick? Yes, no, maybe so. No Gravity Sketch girlies. Okay, I guess I'm old. Okay.
Yeah, I tried it and it was no for me. But I figure with everything else, it takes time.
Yes, thank you, Leah. Yes, Gravity Sketch. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we have some really good options.
Okay, great. So we have some really good 3D modelers. Okay, so I want to show out my cool platforms that I use then for 3D modeling. Great. So I still have some favorites. I'll still show some things here. Let's see, look, I already have Blender open. There's a few. So let's say if I have Blender pulled up right now on my desktop. Can everyone see it?
Yes, we can see Blender.
So for my beginners, I was one of those people too that really, I don't know, touched Blender for the first time, and I was like, yeah, I'm good on this. But I really took some time to really learn Blender, and I'm starting to like it more.
Oh. Okay. Is it just me hearing it? Marlene, are you still there?
I don't hear anything either.
Neither.
Okay. Okay, let's see. She might be having a little bit of a technical difficulty. I see her screen share is still here. I know that Blender is a little bit heavy on your environment. If you guys are interested in checking out Blender, I can share the website resource in our chat with you. It's just blender.org. It's actually free. So just a heads up, but it might just be her clock on her screen share is frozen. Yeah, it might have just been like super heavy in her environment and threw some things off. This is one thing that you guys get to see us troubleshoot in person and live. And it can be a little inconvenient at times, but I kind of like the fact that when these things happen, it's a really good opportunity for you guys to be able to see it sometimes, because if it happens and we get everything perfect for a demonstration, but let's say you guys are on your own and then you run into some of these things that are just honestly really normal, but you think that, is it me? Like, did I do something wrong? Do I have something going on? No, it's not you. This actually happens a lot. Let me see if I can give her a heads up. But I'm not sure if anyone else is familiar with Blender or has used it before. Yes. So for AI, Leah says for AI exploration, she uses Tencent. I can't even pronounce this one. Hunyuan 3D. Am I getting that right? Hunyuan. I have to check that one out. And then I would also say, if anyone has used, for things that are a little bit lighter on your environment, is anyone familiar with Tinkercad? I've actually done some 3D asset design workshops, even in like K-12 environments with platforms like Tinkercad. And it has been really, really helpful. It's not going to give you all the bells and whistles, but for the simple things, it will get the job done. Another thing you might be interested in checking out for like the designers that want a little bit more freedom in the room are Spline as well. Let me see if I can bring these up just as I'm giving her a little bit of time to troubleshoot her environment. So this is Spline. And then okay, you may judge, but you know what? I'm just letting you know that I'm already expecting the judgment. Yes, I have a lot of tabs open. I'm gonna live. Thank you very much. Anyway, so Spline is another resource that you may really like. It's free as well, and it's really like designer UX UI theme friendly. They have like an amazing community where everyone's always sharing like mock-ups and logos and things like that. I'm really trying to steer you guys towards the tools that are free. Other things that I've used are things like, if you've heard of them, things like ZBrush, for example, or Maya, which they can be a little bit heavy, and they're also more expensive too. Let me just let this person in. They can be a little bit more heavy. They can be more expensive in that sense as well. But these are all just like free tools that anyone can have access to. Yeah, it doesn't have to break the bank. The things that we're doing here don't have to break the bank at all. But the resources that they pull on your computer might, as this is what we're seeing now. I'm gonna give a really quick pause here too. Leah, actually, while we're here, I see we have Leah, who is in our chat. She's actually another one of our creators, and she's done workshops on computer-aided design, augmented and virtual reality. I want to give her a really quick shout out too, just while I check in with Marlaina to see how she's doing. Leah, if you want to give like a really quick intro to yourself and share a little bit about like the things that you do, what you have built. You're always one of my favorite use cases too.
Hello, you
Feel
beautiful souls. How are y'all doing today? I hope y'all are well. Adrian, I appreciate you. Hi, everyone. Yes, I love creating immersions and experiences, and XR is the best way to do it. It allows us to meet everyone where they're at, no matter which type of experience that they want. Image triggers are possibly my favorite thing right now. And standalone web AR experiences are the absolute best. So no one has to sign in. You can just pop in. But anywhere that you're building, I just say keep sharing it out, because there's going to be, and you're going to find a whole network of people who are ready and accepting of what you have. So I have different worlds built out, different immersions, paint pour patterns, physical canvas pieces that I've activated with augmentation and geotagging it to different areas. So the National Harbor, I got to light up and add multiple different artists that I am enthusiastic about all over that area through the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation's Multicultural Festival a few months before Miami. Then I dropped geotag stuff all over Miami using illust and various things. You can use anything. Just share it out. We're here for it, and we want to see it. Make it bigger than life. We are here for it. So I'll drop down some examples from my link tree in the chat. But yes, hello, you beautiful
Please
souls.
do.
Okay.
No, thank you so much for that, Leah. And please do share any of your socials and things like that, your website in the chat, because we would love to stay connected with you. And for anyone who is already subscribed to our YouTube, you can definitely check out Leah's workshop there as well. Welcome back, Marlaina. I know we had some technical difficulties there, and I was just edifying you and any of the other girlies who have played around with really, really heavy software like Blender, like ZBrush, like Maya, where it can take a lot of the resources in your environment and knock you out for a little bit. So
Yeah,
I just wanted
appreciate
to make sure you were
that.
good.
Yeah, thanks for running down. I definitely warned you that's gonna happen. Like it's gonna keep happening for sure. But I definitely second Leah on that. Thanks for joining here too. There's a lot of, I guess the key thing here that there's so many platforms out there for you to get your feet wet in any experience out here too. For me, my start was in Meta Horizon Worlds, where I was only building with primitive shapes and building my worlds. And now for like the past year, I've been learning how to build environments in Blender and still have a long ways to go there. But there's so many resources, there's so many communities out there for you to learn. And that's what we're here. That's why we're here. It's like, how do we plug into these resources just to get started and start growing into this space? Key, I think I'm still sharing. Am I still here and active?
Yes, you are still here and you are still sharing.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So we're going to the Blender example, right? Something as very simple as I have a 3D model that I just got from Blender Kit. There's other platforms like CG Trader, Sketchfab, Fab that has these as well that you can do. And I have a personal favorite like Sam 3D, where I can take an image and it will automatically develop for me too. Matter of fact, I'll show that one as well. Oops, I did FBX. Now, what I was saying earlier when I cut off was that in your Blender file, very specifically, you do have it where when you go to your file to export, you'll see a file type called GLTF.
Okay, I still see you there. Just want to make sure I didn't knock you out again. And I think it did. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, and as you guys are sharing, definitely share. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Zaria. Definitely share all of your connections. We actually had a create her who was able to set up this document, this Google Sheet, where anyone who wanted to share their LinkedIn, their socials, and things like that, so you guys can all stay connected. For sure, check that out. Give me 1 quick second to signal Marlaina that, yeah, this thing is really drawing a lot of resources on her machine too. Yes, I do. And when you're using Unity, you can drop things from Blender straight in. Unity actually it takes even more resources than Blender, to be honest. So just so you guys, a little bit of what you're getting yourselves into. You guys are seeing it live and in action right now. Okay, and Marlaina is working on getting herself back in the environment. The only thing about it is like I can tell it's probably not even telling her. Yep, there she is. That it's knocking her out.
It is.
Right.
I'm
It's
gonna
not even telling you, yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can also join on my other computer. That
Okay.
way, if I'm knocked out, you guys can still hear me on my other.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Just so it's not sneak attacking you.
And thanks so much. It's time for me to get a new laptop.
And this for you guys to know, both of us actually, as well as Leah, and I feel like anyone else who has some experience kind of working with these really resource heavy machines, we often will use desktops and or laptops that are intentionally configured to run heavy resource hogging energy. So like gaming laptops, for example, gaming workstations, anything like that is probably going to handle this the best. Your Microsoft Surface laptop is probably going to do you dirty. I'm just letting you know. I don't know many people who have Mac or any kind of like Mac OS hardware that is not like a studio or really souped up Mac Mini that may be running this stuff. I see some people, I'm just giving you guys an idea of like hardware that's going to support you well. Some people use like iPads that are really, really decked out if they're going to do computer aided design. But your average, bottom of the line Macintosh is really not going to hold you. It's not going to do you right. It's going to do you real dirty. So I'm just letting you know. Anything that has an NVIDIA GTX or RTX 4000 series and above will probably do you right, just to give you an idea. And yeah, this is another conversation that I would be happy to have, and we can carry that into our Discord too. If you guys are ever interested, or I'm very much a hardware girly. I'm really all about it. So it gives you a little bit of a lens as to why anyone who knows me, who knows I am very anti-Apple, because they're not here for it. And they don't really know how to get stuff right unless you're willing to sell kidneys, to sell internal organs, to be able to get the simple things done. I'm going to get off my soapbox.
Okay, that's how we get it. You're hardcore.
I do not like them. I don't. Marlaina likes Apple devices. I am not here for it. There's not many things we will disagree on, but that one, I keep showing her. They're gonna do you dirty, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like Leah. Like my laptop, I work it to the bone, and I'm starting to get into hardware too. I did tell this a lot to Adrienne. Like WebXR is just the beginning. It's like when you start connecting to hardware devices, like wearables, tech, like you can start doing some crazy stuff with this. But yeah, it's time for me to get a new laptop though. Yeah, I agree.
It's
Building
a
your
life
own
out here.
PC.
It's a life. We understand.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to quickly go past this Blender situation, and we're just going to go right into the next phase that I'm trying to do here. So, as I was saying for the editor here, so now that we have our, let's see, there we go. We have this, we have a GLB. We can now bring it into our web environment. So Google has an editor. Let me see here. It's called the model viewer. This is probably why I say the quickest way to use the web to bring in your product, your 3D model design. So if you call it model viewer, oops, I spelled that wrong. Model viewer .dev. I don't think that's the right one that I use. Let's see. Everything is not working for me today. Oh, no, that's right. I just did. I spelled it wrong. Let's see. It's model viewer .dev editor. There we go. Perfect. So this is the quickest way. So if you have your 3D models that you created in your Blender environment or so, you can take what we just downloaded. Let's open up my folder structure here. There we go. Our desk. And you can just drag it. And I'm missing clearly all of the rest of my desk. But you know what? We're just gonna keep going. Okay, we have to get the rest of those legs. That was not cool. All right, let's export that again, and let's see if we can get the rest of our desk, because what was that? All right, let's try it again. Okay, so we're just gonna be missing 4 legs for today. That is totally okay. What we care about now is that now that we brought in our model, you have the option. Let me move this out the way. In this environment, I'll get that link and put in the chat too. You have the option to download it as you see fit. You can download it, deploy it to mobile. You can start to test your scene here. So you have you get what we call an HTML code. If you have like a website like Squarespace, what's another one? Framer that I use. There's also Wix. This is the code that you can take as your model viewer, and you can put it inside of your desktop. So another agent that I use is called codepen.i. Oops. It looked like I crashed again. Yeah, managed. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can still
Okay.
hear you.
All right, great. See, that works.
Yep.
My
And
other
it's because
browser
you
just
have so
crashed.
many resources running in the background.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. I'm a true developer out here. You know, I have like so many tabs running.
See, and you see how, and I told you guys, I'm like, don't judge me when you see all the tabs. It's like you're gonna get here too. You're gonna find yourself here one day.
Once you
And you're
get
gonna remember. You remember what I said.
okay. All right, let's go back. Let's get this back going.
Okay, I got you. And we're just rolling with these punches, guys. We're just working our way around this. All right, you should be good. Okay, did it get you? Were you
Yeah,
all set?
definitely
Perfect.
here. Okay. I think for the sake of time too, after I do this example, we're gonna go directly into the SDK environment,
Okay.
just so we can actually go through the live case study one. So hopefully it won't be too many hiccups there, but we'll get there.
And what we can also do for you guys too, just because this is so resource heavy, I can work with Marlaina to actually record some of these concepts, and just so we have them offline, and then we can do a version of the replay where we'll just stitch these things together so it's a little bit smooth for you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think I'm back to sharing my screen here. Perfect.
All right, we see your screen share.
Mm-hmm. And also to that too, one of the things that we're going to announce at the end is that for all of these resources and things that we're sharing, I am an official partner with Create Her Fest, where we do workshops for those that are interested in building for XR experiences. So we go more in depth on how to do these things and how to build your environment. And you have like peer creators who can help you through this as well too. You'll start to find that there's so many ways to really get to that end goal that you want to, and you're not limited. It's just how do you navigate these different platforms? So what I just did here, just to recap, my browser just closed, but what I did is I was able to bring my desk into a simple model viewer where I can take the code that comes with automatically, Control A, C, to make it into an AR experience. I can also download it how I want it to be, or I can go into default AR mode. So this is one of the quick cheat sheets when you're just, let's say, you're selling like your own ebook, or you're selling designs or clothes and you just need to add it quickly to your website for people to interact with it. There you can do all those different things as well. You can have a code. And I was able to take that code, bring it into a quick, playful environment, and then I can click this button and interact with it in AR. I'm not on an AR device, so I won't see it, but this is a quick way to do it. And we have all the links there. So let's go to the actual fun experience, right? We're going to skip past the plugin and the engines like Needle and even Wonderland engine, which I think are really amazing platforms let's say that you can just plug in into Unity, or you can just work directly with them to make these experiences. But we're going to go into the development part. Now, I struggled through this for 6 months, so you don't have to, which is great. So look like my computer crashed again, so I'm going to join back.
I'm still here with you, and I just invited it back.
Perfect. Going to present now, and we're going to go here. So what is a beginner-friendly platform where you can start to code your experience, where you can have it full control over and bring in your designs? One of the tools that I've been using over the last 6 months has been the Meta Immersive Web SDK. I struggled through this for 6 months, so you don't have to. And I have a nice guide that that Adrienne is going to share with you of all the things that you need here. So we did try it before we got here and it works. So we're feeling good to show you again. So let's go right into it. Like, what's an immersive web SDK? So I would say here, Immersive Web SDK, if you're, especially if now in the midst of Gen AI and all these agentic tools, you probably heard the terms SDK, API development. These are tools, open source tools that platforms like Meta give creatives, developers, all this functionality out the box to start creating your experiences. So essentially, Meta has created an SDK full of WebXR capabilities for you to build your own website that is optimized both for VR and AR. So instead of having to figure out like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out all this different code, like how do I add AR or how do I configure this? It's essentially already done for you. And that's what we like when we're new to platforms like this. Like, can we have something that's already done as a template and a base, and can we just change it up a bit to our liking, right? And so with this platform, it's called the Immersive Web SDK by Meta, and there's plenty more out there, but this is the one that gives you the bare bones of just getting your feet wet with that experience. And so when you go to this website, you'll notice it has some examples, some APIs you'll plug into, and some guides here. And when you think about what makes an WebXR experience, you have all of your 3D modeled assets that we build in Blender. You have your sound, your music, you have video, web, all those amazing things that you can build into your WebXR experience. And of course, it can't be experienced without lighting. So all of these capabilities are in here. Things that you would normally do in Unity, you can do it in the web, and you can also make it interactive there. They also have it where you can deploy it directly to GitHub or any other platform as well too. Now, the best part about this, that if you're like me, still a little bit like, I don't know, this is coding and I'm not really quite comfortable with that. Meta even have an editor. Now, I will get a chance to show you what an editor is and break that down, but an editor that you will see is pretty much like Unity. So if you have been building on Unity, if you're a Meta Horizon creator like I am, this will feel right at home with the same features, and we get a chance to talk about that. And then you have your UI in aspect. So with this platform, if you want to follow along with what I'm doing, no worries, this is recorded. I'm going to go through with you. It essentially shows you what doesn't show you, but it walk you through the steps of what do you need to download all your dependencies for a WebXR environment. And I would tell you, probably starting out, the hardest thing that you'll ever do starting out will probably be your project setup process and your project deployment process. Once you navigate through that, everything is just fun and dandy when you start troubleshooting for bugs. That is the core framework here. Is once you know how to properly set up your project and deploy it, you are good to go to start playing. And that is what I'm going to help you with today. And so what I do like about Meta and the SDK is that they kind of help you with that setup process. You just have to know what dependencies do you need, and there's a list of that. And Adrienne does have access to those things that she can share with you. But for the most part, what you want to pay attention to is that you're going to be using something called Node.js. This is where you're able to really build your application within your IDE. And your IDE could be Microsoft Visio code, or it can be like a tool I use, which is Windsurf. Now, I don't know, Google anti-gravity, I'm starting to look over to that direction, and it's looking pretty good too. So you have a lot of agentic ADEs. The most important thing with those IDEs is that it has a co-pilot, which is your programming co-buddy that's going to help you code. That's the most important thing that you need for all of this, especially if you're not, especially if you're a beginner to development. And speaking of development, you'll have something called JavaScript and TypeScript here. We're going to be using TypeScript, but if you're a web developer and you're familiar with HTML, JavaScript, you can script your WebXR experience. So there's a few things that you can do here as well. Like you can essentially use Canva AI to really build you a website and just pick the areas that you want to have is fully immersive in it, or in this space that you already have an environment set up and build with it. We're just going to go with a space that's already set up for you to configure. So right here, how do we do this? I'm going to use my IDE, which is Windsurf. If you have any other platform like MS Studio, MS Visio Code or Cursor, or even Google Anti-Gravity, you can do essentially the exact same thing. So in my IDE, I'm going to go to my terminal. This terminal for me is what you guys would call a command line prompt. You can do this exact same thing if you go to your window or your PC here, and you can type command prompt. Everything that we're about to do it here as well. So let's say that you do it from the command prompt or the terminal. In my case, I'm going to go to the exact first thing I need to create my WebXR experience. And for some reason, it never saves when I do this. I have to always go back to the documentation to get the link that I want. But to create essentially a new WebXR experience, I need to type in this into my command code. And it's telling
zoom in. If we can, let's zoom in just a
Okay.
little bit on the commands. And then when you get back into the IDE, let's zoom in on the CLI too.
Okay, perfect. If we can do that, you might have to show me how to do that part. All right,
Got you.
perfect. All right, so this is the code that you need. What this means is that this is telling your command line prompt that I want you to create me a new WebR experience. And so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back to my IDE. This part, let me see if I can. Oh, I can zoom it in. Okay.
You got it.
So at the very bottom of my terminal, I'm going to.
Let's zoom in even a little bit more.
Okay.
This
There
is
we go.
good. This
Oh,
is
wait.
good.
I got you. All right. That's my code I'm going to put in, and I'm going to press enter. Now, granted, I'm doing all of this, but 9 times out of 10, before I do this, I want to make sure that I've installed node.js. That's going to be important to make sure I have that installed first. Now, you might have some issues as we get down here. Matter of fact, I'm going to wait till we get down to that to talk about the potential issues you may have, so you can navigate that. Now, if you're in your command prompt, you can use the exact same command prompt that I use, the npm create, and it'll do the exact same thing. the exact same thing. So now I'm going to name my project. We're going to call this one Create Her Fest. No, let's do 75 Her. We're going to build a website. 75. What you doing? No. Okay, we got to do this again. All right, we're going to do 75 Her dash challenge. And this is essentially creating a new project for me. And it's going to create a folder. So I have the option. Let's zoom in some more on this. I have the option to either do TypeScript or JavaScript. Since most of the platforms that I use primarily use TypeScript, I want to keep it all in the same family. I'm going to use TypeScript. Now, this is where you get to be fun. So actually put it in the chat. Are you like team AR or team VR? Are you a team virtual reality or are you team augmented reality? Of course, I should have known. Some ARs in here.
So I got some team VR from Zaria, team AR. Still deciding. That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
Lisa is team AR. Juliana is VR. Wendy is XR. Okay. Donna is team XR, but AR is my fave. Yep, I know that's right.
Okay.
Can we be both? Of course you can.
XR technically all of the above.
I
Yeah,
choose B, all of the above.
I have to choose.
You don't have to choose, Taya. You don't have to.
All right. We're gonna say for the sake of where I'm comfortable in right now, I'm gonna choose VR. But look, I just got tapped on the shoulder for AR, so I have to admit I might be getting into some AR experiences soon. So that's coming soon. But let's say VR just to be safe. So in here, okay, Team Switzerland, I love that. So now you want to enable hand tracking. And so for all experiences, yeah, you can say it's optional. I think my browser closed again. Let me see. Let me refresh.
I can get you back in here if we need to.
I'm going to join. We are almost to the finish line. I appreciate everyone for bearing with me.
Now, and I do feel like I need to at least give you additional props for the respect that, Marlaina, she's an amazing creator, and she's also the founder of, that's our partnership itself, of the Diamond Resilience. And she can tell you a little bit about that even before we close out, even the significance of the name. But if there's anything that can pay homage to who she is and her character, as a creator and as a developer too, is this is the resilience that is required for greatness in this space. Like you can't like, oh, it didn't work, it closed on me, we give up. Like, no, this is not where we're at. We are not weak sauce. This is
Yeah,
not
100%. Yeah.
so this is very much, her name is Boss Leo for a reason. So respect.
Absolutely. Thank you. And a lot of people from my workshops would tell you that we might not have the answer, but we're going to struggle through it together to figure out the answer. So this is a safe space to really figure things out for sure. All right. So let's keep it going. Thank you, Adrienne. So we want hand tracking, right? So we're going to say optional, WebXR layer optional, most of the default settings. But before we get keyword happy, right? There's some things we want to look out for. So enable locomotion. That means in our world, we want people to move around, interact. We want all of those capabilities. Deploy the engine as something new. So I'm just going to say yes because it will recommend it. We want to be able to grab some things in our experience. And physics is more advanced, so we'll say no right now. The most important thing that we do not want to say no to, especially if you're a beginner, is that do we want to enable the Meta Spatial Editor? Now, this is also one I forgot to mention, that you do also want to download the Meta Spatial Editor. That is going to be your equivalent to the Unity editor that you need to build your scene. If you're having a hard time like placing your objects in your scene and editing it. So in this case, we're going to say, yes, we need that. Then you're going to set up a Git repository because you can, as you develop this project, you can deploy this to your GitHub repository and you can even publish it there and create a website out of it completely. I actually found that out last year that you can actually create URLs from your GitHub repository instead of having to purchase a whole new link. So definitely say yes to that. And this is the part from experience that you want to say no. Install dependencies. You do need dependencies in order for your application to work, but there has been some issues before when trying to install it. There's just been some issues. So we'll say no first. And we'll install it after the application has been created. So that's the most important thing, is that you want to say no your first try around. Let it go ahead and install. Now we have it. So now what I want to do next, as I zoom in some more, is that you'll notice that I'm not in my folder to install my dependencies. That's where we want to do. We want to be in our folder. If I try to do npm install to do my dependencies, you'll notice that I have a lot of errors and we don't want that. So to do that, I'm going to now exit out my terminal and I'm actually going to go find that folder that I just created. So I'm going to open up my folder and I forgot the name of the project just that fast. What was it? Oh,
It was
75
75 herd challenge.
Okay. 75 her. So we're going to go find that project here. There we go. 75 here. And notice I'm selecting the folder. So this is the beautiful thing about vibe coding. Any project that you're on, that you're developing, the magic happens right here, that when you take all of the files from your project and you go to that Copilot. So here in Windsurf, we use Cascade. What I like most about Cascade is that you get access to all of your AI models, including ChatGPT. I think you have Gemini up in here. Yeah, you have Gemini up in here. You get access to all of it. I believe all of us who are really good developers or beginner developers, we tend to like Claude a lot. And I have to admit, after 3 years of being the first 1% to adopt to adopt ChatGPT, I did officially cancel my subscription and went to Claude. So that's how good Claude is here. It's really good for development. And in most of my projects, when I interact with my code, I like to say, talk to me in simple layman's terms, because whatever it's about to tell me, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to understand it. So I have to set up in a way where I can understand it. So now I have my project set up. I'm going to go back to my terminal, create a new one, which is my command line prompt. Now, you can't do this in your command prompt. If you chose to go the command prompt, there is a function that you can use to go to, I think it's called change directories, and you can go
Correct.
to that folder. Okay, that means I got something going. Good. Let's see here. So if I want to go back to users and find my folder, 75 her, right there. I'm going to open that up and I'm going to grab that entire URL and I'm going to put that right there. And now I'm in that folder and now I can do npm install to finish the rest of what I'm doing here if I want to use command prompt. But because I'm using Windsurf, I'm just going to do it here where everything is right where I need it to be. So let me close this and zoom in some more. So now I'm going to go to, oops, let's try it again. Let's go to my terminal. And now I'm going to install my dependencies.
I think
Okay,
the
let's double
screen
check really
froze. We're
quick.
not seeing those steps.
Yeah, it might have kicked you out. Just double check.
Okay. Yeah, it did. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Let's keep it going.
Got you. Thank you, Zelina.
Okay,
All right,
I'm gonna
should be
share
good.
my screen. All right, perfect. All right, so what I just did there, I just hit npm install, and it now just had it. Anything that's yellow, you don't have to worry about. There's a lot of when working with a lot of these companies and SDKs, especially in the early days, a lot of their software could be like outdated or they have new versions. So just be mindful of that when you're installing it. Because that's beyond my skill set for today's session, we're going to ignore that for right now and we're going to keep going. So now we have our project here. The next thing we're going to look at is the actual metaspatial editor. So I'm going to open our project. Before I even do that, how do you know you have the Metaspatial Editor? Is that in your project, you should see a folder that says Metaspatial Editor. That is going to be really important because that is what's going to communicate between your IDE and the Metaspatial Editor. So if you're trying to add in new objects, new scene, and you want to communicate back to your IDE, you need to be in you need to make sure they're both connected. And so here, I know that if I go back to that folder, Metaspatial,
Try
I
and
will
zoom in
see
here
my
just a
editor.
little bit.
Let's see if I
Let's
can
zoom in
actually
here
do it.
just a bit.
Okay.
Oh,
It didn't work. Did it? Okay. I thought it could have. All right. Well, that's kind of like the big case of it. Let me see. I think I have extra large icons. Well, that didn't work. Let's see one more time. So if I go to Metaspatial Editor and I bring in large icons, there we go. I should be able to see the Metaspatial editor here. So I have it downloaded. So I'm just going to open it up. Technically, I could open it up just like it is right now, but I think it's frozen right now. So I'm going to close it. And let's see if I can just open it up directly.
I think that might have kicked you out again too.
Okay.
We're at the finish line.
We are.
And I really want you guys to see like this WebXR demo too. So just hang in there with us because it's pretty cool. But this really goes to show how to be prepared and how to really spec out the hardware that you're working with, because this stuff really is resource intensive.
Yeah, 100%. Mind you, I have a Razer, so you guys' laptop might be really well, but with mine, it is not. All right, so this is the spatial editor. This is how I know I have my scene. So the last thing here that I have my spatial editor, I'm connected to where I needs to be. How do I officially know that I have a working WebXR project? The final touch is I want to run a dev environment. What I'm going to do, a dev environment is your test environment before you go into production. So I'm going to go type in npm run dev. And if everything works well, I should have two links. I should have a local link where it should open up the web browser of my environment, and then network if I want to test it directly on my headset. And there you go. I have a site. And so now I have my environment here where if I go, before I do it, how I know it's WebXR, it was identified and say, hey, you're on an XR device, you can enter in XR mode. That's what we want when we're on these websites. So if I put the same link in my headset or on my phone, it should tell me like, hey, you're in AR. Do you want to enable AR mode or XR mode? So I'm going to click on XR, and right now I'm in a test environment, so I can technically play around here, do some things, but I'm just going to press play just so I can simulate myself in VR. And so now I can move around. I have an official environment that I can play with. So besides my computer, closing like every 2 minutes. This is really a very simple process of setting up your WebXR project. And now I can go and have fun with this and start playing with this. So I have everything that I need. The camera is where it needs to be. So I can go and start creating my experience. For the very last demo, because we're almost low on time, is now we're going to bring our 3D Blender model and we're going to bring it into our web environment and go crazy with it. So before I do that, this is the Metaspatial Editor. Very similar to Unity. You have your hierarchy, which is called the composition. You have here is your project assets. It is a bit small here. I can zoom in, but this is where all of your assets of your scene is going to be placed right here. And then you have your properties tab on your right. This is where you can click on any object. Let's say this tiny robot, and I can add different scripts to it to make it interactive. So by clicking on one object, you see that I was able to add audio source to it, and I can control the audio when someone interact with it. Or maybe I want to have my own custom script. I can do that too. I can add my own custom script in here and make it do whatever I need to do. So it's very simple there. I will also have things like follower for an object to follow me. Maybe I want to grab it with one hand. I have all these different things accessible to me out the box. This is what makes this an ideal, perfect environment. If you're new to WebXR and you're not quite comfortable with the development, you can essentially do all of these things here by setting up your scene and essentially adding code to it to make it interactive. So how do we add our 3D object? I can add it directly by going to my desk that I just exported from Blender, and I have it in here, and I can just bring it into my environment. Yeah, my one-legged desk. You know, we're gonna take it. We like it. That's in these days. All right. And it's right the size that we need. So I'm going to save it, save all. I'm going to go back to Windsurf. I'm just going to save it again. I look like it already synced and saved, so that's good. So we're just going to test one more time. I like to close everything out and start a new terminal to test just to make sure everything is great. So I'm going to go to my terminal and I'm going to type npm run dev to create a new test environment so I can see if my changes have stuck with me. So it should automatically pull up a browser for me to see. Perfect. And I should be seeing a desk in my 3D environment, which I think I do. And let's see, I have a desk. So I essentially brought in my 3D object. Now, you can do so many things with this, and this is only the beginning, but just in less than 30 minutes, probably without all the technical issues, that I have essentially set up my own WebXR space using the Immersive Web SDK, and I can start to do some amazing things with this too. So I know we're over by 1 minute with the training, but I'll stop right there with that demo here, just so we can wrap up. But like Adrienne said here, the diamond resilience, for what it stands for, the diamond resilience, through all obstacles, we remain resilient. Here in your power, in your work, we are a creative-led organization that produce immersive content experiences, but most importantly, we have a community of diamond jewels, just like you women, doing amazing things in these spaces, who are creating more opportunities for women in XR and in Web3. We are a proud partner with Create Her Fest, and on the 75 Her Lounge, where we bring a lot of other creators together to do exactly what we're doing here today. We're figuring out together how to navigate XR, how to build experiences, what can we share resources and insights with each other. And we officially be kicking off this month and still remain active for the 75 Her Challenge. So if you're now interested in XR, I definitely want you to consider XR as part of your 75 Her project and know that you have a space within a community to help you really get that to the finish line. And we're here to grow together there. Adrienne, Darlise, thank you so much for having me here today. I can hand it right back over to you.
Thanks so much, Marlaina. That is honestly amazing. And I really hope that you guys were able to see what we were able to do with that end result there. I also shared one last resource right in the chat with you guys. And I'm going to share my screen really quickly because it's going to be a living document that Marlaina and I both have access to. We'll be able to kind of revisit after we tweak and edit this workshop to make sure that it's nice and smooth and has all of the visuals that you guys were looking to get. You can check out this resource here. And it actually has a walkthrough of that intro to WebXR, all of the links that she'll want to share with you guys. You'll be able to check that out too. An overview of what is XR, what's possible with it. And then also some links direct to what that setup can look like, not specific to having to use any of the tools that we aforementioned, but just giving you a little flexibility of what other things are possible as well. Consider this to be living, because there are a few other things that we actually were able to show you some demos during this workshop, which was amazing. We'll see if we can get the links to those in here too, which shouldn't be a problem at all. So you can kind of keep an eye on this over the next week, and you'll see it continue to update. And then it'll be at its final state by the time that we edit and get a really good resource out for you on our YouTube channel, which I've said with you guys in the chat, and which I can also pull up and show you too, is where you'll be able to find any additional workshops that we do, including Marlaina's from this year, actually, and also last year too. So if you're not subscribed to our Create Her Fest YouTube channel just yet, you should definitely do that. You'll be able to find all of those resources. Here is actually her workshop from last year, Smart Building Workflows for XR Applications. We also shout out to Leah, aka LM Designs. You'll see her workshop in here too. And as we continue to grow our environment and all the resources that we curate just for you guys, you'll be able to keep up with us here. So I just want to thank you all for joining us today, and shout out to that resilience. You guys stay resilient, because your success in this space is going to rely on that. So thank you so much. Bye, guys.